name is Robert Annis. I'm a journalist from Indianapolis. As a kid, I would tear through the woods on my BMX bike in search of Bigfoot. Now I venture out in the world in pursuit of meaningful stories, both on two wheels or in my road trek camper van. For years, my dad lived vicariously through my stories. He'd pick me up from the airport and listen to me drone on for hours after I'd get back from a trip. Last February, I flew through Seattle just as it was becoming the epicenter for US COVID cases. As a precaution, I told my dad I'd find a different way home, not to pick me up at the airport, but he was adamant. Days later, we went into lockdown, so my dad and I would text daily until he stopped replying. I drove over to check on him and found that he had passed away in his recliner the night before. And I was terrified I may have given him COVID. Eventually I was tested and found out that wasn't the case. But I had sank into a pretty deep depression, one that I had just come out of in the weeks and months before. And I could feel myself starting to crater again, and I knew I had to get away. As I thought about Dad, I couldn't help but think of another man who had an oversized impact on my life, Teddy Roosevelt, who I had idolized since the third grade. He was no stranger to grief as well, and he found a rebirth in the Dakotas in the 1880s. So that's where I pointed my camper van. But that's not the only reason I was thinking about Roosevelt. At the time, I was listening to a podcast that shed light on his horrific racism. I began exploring the concept, and time again, experts told me that you couldn't judge Roosevelt by today's standards. For the longest time, that's how I would excuse or reconcile my dad's own misguided views of race. So I began to wonder, if we can't judge prejudices from 100 years ago, or even 50 years ago when my dad was growing up, at what point can we relegate them to history? Roosevelt's accomplishments cement his legacy as a great man. But was he a good man? Was my dad? And what's my role in all of this? When part of the problem in this country is that history has been written by people who look a lot like me. Out among the desolate beauty of the Badlands, I hope to come to terms with my father's death, as well as life, and reconcile some of those questions.